Hello there, welcome to CNR Extra from our studio at number 5 Ola Hansen Lane at Tesano in Accra. My name is Philip Nihilate. Coming up. Supporters of the NDC in the Central, Western and Volta regions welcome the selection of new leadership of the minority in Parliament. Meanwhile, members in the Ashanti and Northern regions wanted the party to rescind its decision or face their wrath.
Is going to add on to his ability to perform as the member of parliament of our constituency. We are so blessed. We are happy.
It is first of its kind, first time in the history of the region that a member of parliament being elevated to this height.
Bono East Regional Minister assures safety challenges are associated with the transportation of school children on the Volta Lake will be addressed following the death of 8 children on the lake on Tuesday.
In the interim,
And a minority in parliament worried about the continuous injection of funds into abandoned projects.
If you treat things this way, why wouldn't the economy run down? You give more than, 10 to 20 million US dollars to individuals without any work done. How would the economy survive?
And still to come on CNR Extra, Roads and Highways Ministry repairs unmotorable Asante Mampon section on the main Kumasi-Yeji highway in the Ashanti region, which has led to death of 3 persons in separate accidents.
Every road contract going on in Kumasi is here. Every road contract, and I want to emphasize that, is being awarded by government.
CNR Extra is live on CCTV, and you can join us via WhatsApp on 0204 447033, and as well you can join us on CityTube as we stream live on YouTube. Jude, Mensan, Duncan, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Philip.
I'm wishing you Happy New Year because this is the first time seeing you.
Yeah, but I've seen
in
you
the year 2023.
I don't think so. I don't think this is the first time I've seen me on the show. But
well, this is the first time I'm seeing you.
We've dealt.
It's my eyes, and I'm saying this is the first time I'm seeing you. Anyway, welcome, and we have a lot to talk about today. Let's go straight to the Bono East region. As the regional minister there has stated, and he's commiserating with the families who lost their children on the Volta Lake in CNR East district. So let's bring you that insert.
Bono East Regional Minister Kwesi Edujan has commiserated with the families who lost their children on the Volta Lake in the CNR East district of the Bono East region. The following report has more.
Pupils from Atiga Gome who were on their way to school on Tuesday lost their lives when a boat they were traveling on capsized. The 8 children, made up of 5 boys and 3 girls, have been buried. The Bono East Regional Minister, who visited the Atiga Gome Island community, spoke on the issue.
In their quest for knowledge and their desire, some pay acquire knowledge in another place for education. Unfortunately, community they are deaf. There are a lot of things that we can do, as I say, the first is the population and also, as a government or people, the child should not be encouraged. As a result of that, the parents of so many places, now how you motivate for the teacher one person. About a few days, because of the transfer on the bridge. Already initiated process with Ghana Educational Service, the new Director General, where agrees before more education, more qualified, good, okay, so much radio young family. Them say, Sana Mono, true. Now you be a school, maybe or her, the boy, choir, the farm, or more picture, more fat, so more school in the Kaka. The buyers or assemblyman, so I show you and say immediately, we put it together an infrastructure. In between send we are a picture. The new voter via reform, so bidding kita, era Jeffado, and none of the Casa in a Zoom rally. When be on between motor about in the interim, in front of the school, on between a day school.
A parent, Yawa Ajo, who lost 2 children, also spoke on the incident.
The problem in Libya,
That's a very sad situation there, to have your children go to school and they are not able to return again. Just to hear that a boat capsized and they were engaged in that particular situation and they've lost their lives. Well, the minister has stated that he's commiserating with them, but I don't think that is enough, because we have raised it here, time without number, that putting in place the preventive measures is the way to go, because you can't have these children or individuals crossing the water lake without life jackets.
I mean, it's quite heart-wrenching and a very painful story when we heard about the death of these 8 children. And for me, it's quite unfortunate that these children and their parents were only trying to seek for a brighter future for themselves, and it had to end up that way. And for me, our condolences and our sympathies, our sincere sympathies to the families and the community at large. I mean, I 100% agree with you. In the news, we read that Africa Education Watch have called for life jackets, and that should really be the norm where children have to cross rivers. But I've also seen certain people, educationists for that matter, raise questions as to why we don't even have schools in their community, so they don't have to travel that length. And for me, these are very pressing issues that the GES, the Ministry of Education, and all relevant stakeholders should be having. I mean, late last year, we saw the whole brouhaha around the appointment of the GES director and how they went back and forth on that particular issues. And for me, it was quite unfortunate. I feel like these are the real pressing issues within our educational sector that needs a lot more attention, and not necessarily about whether or not one is qualified to be GES boss. So for me, we need to start re-looking at some of these challenges. The Education Ministry, it's very early in the year, but so many challenges already. And for me, the sorts of responses coming from the ministry to a very large extent has not been sufficient. I listened to the PRO on the CBS some time ago talking about challenges with the free SHS, and now this. So my point really is that these are the pressing issues in our education sector. The fact that children who have to cross rivers to school don't have life jackets. The fact that schools are not in enough, there's the proximity really to schools in some of our communities.
We even have infrastructure.
There's nothing to write home about.
Issues and
exactly. So these are the real issues, and I expect the GES, I expect all the stakeholders, including teacher associations, to start voicing out these issues. And let's leave. We should grab the substance really and leave the shadow. So these are the things I expect all the stakeholders in the education sector to take it up. But of course, our sincere sympathies and condolence to the family and the community at large.
Well, so the Africa Education Watch has stated that the Ghana Education Service and all stakeholders involved must be up and doing when it comes to these things. We shouldn't just say that this has happened. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry will run to that particular place and commensurate with the family. No, that is not the way to go. What we want is an action has to be taken so this wouldn't repeat itself again. Let's move away from this story and go to the very story that has been being topical in the media space for quite some time now. That is the National Democratic Congress's decision to replace the leadership in Parliament. Some constituents or some party members of the NDC are not in support of the decision that has been taken by the leadership. When you go to the Asawasi constituency, some NDC members there are not happy about the decision. Let's bring you that insert.
The National Democratic Congress
bring out our weapons now, but we are telling them emphatically that they should resign their decision.
With regards to this change that came yesterday afternoon, in fact, we are not happy at all. We are not happy, and then we are trying to register our dissatisfaction to the authorities of the NDC. Nobody expected this. When things are going to be done, it should pass the due process. Like our secretary said, first of all, Honorable Mutaka was not consulted, Honorable Haruna Idrisu was also not consulted, and then the ranking members of the NDC were also not consulted. At least things should be done in a way.
The angry party members, after addressing the press, moved to the Ashanti Regional NDC office to petition the leaders over the issue. They sang war songs and bent car ties amidst heavy security to express their anger. The Ashanti Regional NDC chairman, Augustus Nana Apesi Andrews, assured the group that he will ensure the petition is forwarded to the party's leadership for the appropriate action to be taken. He, however, admonished them not to resort to violence in expressing their disappointment.
So this was the situation at Tamale, Elembele rather, but the issue is so different when it comes to that in another side of the constituency, that is the central region, that is Ejumako Enyani CM, which is the constituency for Ato Ato Forson. Let's bring you that insert.
Well, while there are protests in the Ashanti and northern regions, there is celebration happening in the western region, specifically in the constituency of Elembele, where not only in Elembele that the NDC supporters are happy. If you go to the Jumako Enyan SCM constituency of the central region, there's need for the NDC members there to celebrate, and celebrate they have been, because Ato Forson, their MP, is a new minority leader. Central Regional Correspondent Kavis Tete has more.
Elated members of the National Democratic Congress in the Jumako Enyang SCM constituency chanted songs in celebration of the appointment of Ato Forson as the minority leader of the National Democratic Congress in Parliament. They say a member of Parliament for Jumako Enyang SCM has performed well as the MP for the area and one-time Deputy Finance Minister under the John Mahama administration. Speaking to City News at a press conference in the Jumako Besiase, his hometown, Communications Officer for the NDC in the constituency, Galahad Alex Andor, says his appointment means a lot for the people of the central region, adding that he has what it takes to catapult the NDC to victory in the 2024 elections. He also noted that he has what it takes to bring the best out of the current parliament.
Honorable Ato Forson currently is one of the best MPs in the central region. And so this is going to add on to his ability to perform as the member of parliament of our constituency. We are so blessed. We are happy. We are only entreating all Ghanaians, especially members of the National Democratic Congress, to be calm and to watch on this space to see whether Honorable Ato Forson will perform or not. But we in the Jumako NDC, we really believe in Dr. Ato Forson, and we know he's going to perform. And he has performed so well and clinched the seat of Edmoko Enesiam in favor of the National Democratic Congress for 4 consecutive times. So his leadership doesn't have any questions to be asked about.
Some elated party supporters in the constituency shared with City News what the development means for the central region.
Now that he has been elevated to minority leader in parliament, he's going to perform so well that the people of Ujumako and Esiam are going to feel the impact. We are very happy he has been elevated, and the constituency has also been elevated.
Central region has been looked as a swing region, and having a minority leader from Central region, it is going to solidify our gains in Central region going into 2024 elections.
He's very mature in parliament. He knows all the parliamentary procedures. He knows how to debate. He knows everything. He knows which time it is to speak. So, and his contributions, it's superb. You know it. So, it is not in doubt at all that he can perform marvelously.
For constituents in the Jumako Enyang ACM district, they say the appointment of Ato Forson as the minority leader in parliament is a step in the right direction. They are hoping that more will come from the MP. How they started City News, Jumako Enyang ACM.
So this is coming from the central region, that is the Jumako Enyan ACM constituency. Let's go to Elembele, which is the constituency of Emmanuel Amakofibua. What the constituents are not excited about. They are rather excited about the decision.
Well, while there are protests in the Ashanti and northern regions, there is celebration happening in the western region, specifically in the constituency of Elembele, where the Honorable Emmanuel Amakofibua has been named as a deputy minority leader. We have this reaction coming through in the report by Kwesi Jenim.
This is the kind of jubilation by the rank and file of the NDC from the Elembele constituency of the western region that greeted the appointment of the MP of Elembele, Emmanuel Amakofibua, as the new deputy minority leader of parliament. Until his appointment, the 4-time representative of the people of Elembele in parliament was the leader of the Western Regional MP's caucus in parliament. While congratulating the MP and thanking the party, the Elembele NDC's communication director and other sympathizers said Amakofibua's appointment is historic and well-deserved. They said his appointment means a lot to the Western region.
When you move to the grassroots and you listen to what a lot of them have been expressing in terms of joy, it equally tells you very well that indeed we all abreast this good news. We are very much happy that today we have had our own. And indeed, it is first of its kind, first time in the history of the region that a member of parliament being elevated to this height.
I wasn't all that surprised, yes, because we know his hard working, his dedicated work he has been doing for the party. In fact, it will even bring more people to the NDC in Elembele, more specifically the float voters.
I asked if Amakofibua's appointment comes as a disappointment to those who saw him as a vice presidential material.
It's not too late because Ama is still young. Ama is still young. He has, I think, because if, for instance, what if the next time he can be of the flag bearer? Because we all know that Mahama has only one term to go. So what if he has the key way to become a flag bearer? What of that one too would be? So Ama has a future ahead that I'm not disappointed that he has been given this role to play. I think it will brighten him up for what is aligned to become.
And any time soon, that the party will equally deem it fit that they had to give him the presidential vice candidate. Yeah. I mean, we'll go by it. Whatever comes, we will take it. What we are interested in is that he is given a position or a certain portfolio that will equally going to equip him, and then it's going to energize the party at the regional level so that we will have a fourth fight.
So away from the Elembele constituency, let's go to the Tamale South constituency, where some youth there are calling that the party should rescind its decision, and that as the constituency of the outgone minority leader, that is Haruna Idrisu.
Oase is not the only place where there is a protest against the NDC's decision. In Tamale, the NDC supporters there are asking the party leadership to reverse the decision to remove Haruna Idrisu as minority leader. We have this report for you.
There was an uproar in the Tamale South constituency on Tuesday 24 after the announcement of a change in leadership of the NDC in Parliament. Members of the constituency, following the announcement, gave the national leadership a 24-hour ultimatum to rescind its decision. Even though the constituents have not embarked on any further action, a group calling itself Coalition of NDC Youth Groups in Tamale on Wednesday called on stakeholders of the NDC party to intervene and overturn the decision. The group also accused the national chairman of favoritism. Saibu Abdul Rahman is the leader of the group.
We need to send a word of caution to this self-seeking national chairman and general secretary that they should prepare to continue to be in opposition with their self-seeking and parochial interests because we will not compromise Honorable Haruna Idrisu in replace of anybody in the party, not even the former president. So far, as we are concerned, we therefore call on all meaning people and stakeholders in the great NDC as a matter of agency to intervene and overturn this unpopular and wicked self-seeking decision that may deny the party, deny the NDC of victory in 2024.
They further questioned the national chairman's reasons for the reshuffle, describing it as unfortunate.
Another unfortunate and unattainable explanation offered by Mr. Asedun Kasia is that they need people with background of economy to lead our party in parliament, which we find it unreasonable because if it is people with background on economy that should be chosen as leaders, then His Excellency John Dramani Mahama must also be replaced at a Congress because equally not an.
So in all, some supporters of the NDC, the Asawase constituency, the Tamale South constituency, are not happy about the decision. Meanwhile, when you go to Elembele and Ejumako Enyan ACM constituencies, some supporters of the party are excited. Well, this morning there was a press conference held by the newly appointed minority leader, Dr. Ato Forson, and he has assured that he's going to unite the minority caucus in Parliament. I think this should settle the matter.
Unfortunately, it doesn't. And if you listen to the whole turmoil really that has characterized his appointment as the new minority leader, it's got really little to do with his capabilities and his competence. It's really about the level of consultation and engagement that went in before his appointment, from the national executive all the way to even the council of elders, even former legislators and people in good standing of the party. And that is where a lot of the challenge has come from, and really little to do with whether or not he's capable. And for me, that is why I found some of the comments really from leading people in the party and even in Parliament very unfortunate. And I'm referring to Honorable Cletus advocate, his comment about whether or not he's a non-entity and all of that. Cause
I think he made a comment generally, not
I mean, either way you want to either way you want to look at it, either way, whether it was to the group of newly appointed legislators or to just the new minority leader, either way you want to look at it, was quite unfortunate, because this is a ranking member we are talking about on finance. And if someone who's been in Parliament, I'm talking about Dr. Ato Forson, who's been in Parliament for 14 years, is unable or doesn't have the required capabilities to lead the minority, then for me that is a problem. But that's even far from it. Listening to him today address the press, so many things rang in my mind, and for me it appeared he was trying to do a lot of things and say a lot of things in a really short time span. So,
but even with this meeting, this press conference that he has made mention of, there are some 60 minority MPs who have signed a petition to reject the appointment. 77 MPs as well, who are also pushing, endorsing the appointment.
I mean, it was to be expected, like we saw in the report. So you have Ashanti and Northern NDC not too much in favor of this. And I've always maintained that let's not confuse the loud voices to be the most popular voices. The fact that you hear people in Ashanti region and in the northern part of the country agitate against the move by the National Executive Council of the NDC doesn't necessarily mean that people in the NDC are not happy. For all you might know, we saw people in Ejumako, jubilating the appointment. We've seen people in Elembele do same. We've seen people in Adaklu do same. It will be,
and even in the Greater Accra region, there's been some kind of
exactly. So we can't create the notion that the whole of the NDC were not in favor of the decision to change.
The chairman of the party has stated, John Stacey Nketia has stated that the decision wouldn't favor everybody, but it's in the general interest of the party, and that the outgoing executives will not be sidelined. They would be used as and when needed in the party ahead of the 2024
It's very important,
elections.
but like I'm saying, it's politics in this part of the country is largely due to personal interest, and you can't really take that away. But going back to Dr. Kesel's address today, for me, like I was saying, he was trying to say too many things in a really short time of span. So he wanted to unite the party. He was talking about his relationship with Haruna Idrisu. To an extent, he also tried to extol his own capabilities when he tried to bring his audience, to bring to the attention of his audience the fact that he himself has been in parliament for some 14 years, and he was trying to also take on government by saying that the appointment of government in a reshuffle of ministerial positions will be scrutinized. So these are a lot of things he was trying to say in about a 5-6 minute clip. And for me, for an inaugural address like that, should have been more touched through, should have been more refined, and should have taken on the issues very well. I expected him, together with the National Executive Council of the NDC, to have addressed a press like that, formally introduce him, try and address the issues that have been raised as a result of his appointment individually. And for me, that would have been a very united front and shown a
the
party.
addressing would come after a meeting. We are told that the meeting
there'll
will
be a meeting today, so hopefully
the leadership and also the MPs.
Hopefully we'll put to bed some of these issues that have been raised. But like I said, let's take nothing away from his capabilities. If after 14 years of being in parliament and being the ranking member of finance, and we understand from leading members of the party that if they, from the party's own projections, going into election 2024, it's going to be about the economy. So you need people who have in-depth understanding, really, of how the Ghanaian economy works. Ato Forson has been a deputy finance minister before. He was now, prior to his appointment, ranking member of finance. The deputy minority leader, Amakofi, deputy energy minister. I mean, it doesn't come better than that, really. So let's not focus on their capability, but let's look at what they can do. And I admit, they might not be as exciting as Muntaka or as Haruna, but I mean, in their own rights, they've also paid their dues well to the party and paid their dues well to the country at large. So it will be interesting in the coming days how some of these things will be panning out.
Well, we'll see how issues will unfold in the biggest opposition party, that is the NDC, and we would also bring you all the actions that is going to happen in that quarter. So you can join us with your comments, contributions, and suggestions via our WhatsApp line 0204447033. A meeting will be held between the leadership of the party and also the members of parliament of the NDC, and certainly we will keep you abreast with whatever happens there. This is still CNR Extra on City TV, still to come. Minority in Parliament worried about the continuous injection of funds into abandoned projects. Kindly stay with us. We'll be back with more stories.
Imagine if you can get all the understanding on some of the difficult subjects you struggle with in school. As a student, do you feel dissatisfied with how hard it is to figure out the subjects you're learning? Or as a parent or guardian, do you worry that your child is struggling to understand some of the subjects in school? Well, now you don't need to sign up for extra lessons or tutors. Simply tune in to Class Act, Mondays to Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. on City TV. Class Act is a show that seeks to enable senior high school students gain a much better understanding of what they learn in school. All you need is a TV, a chair, your notebook, and your pen. Get clarity on subjects such as maths, English, IT, and science. Class Act airs every Monday to Thursday at 5:30 p.m. on City TV on DSTV channel 363 and GoTV channel 182. Class Act is proudly sponsored by Vodafone Ghana Foundation as part of the Kindred Partners. Don't forget your pens, pencils, and your notebooks and tune in to Class Act, only on City TV.
Many thanks for staying with us here on CNR Extra on CCTV. Let's bring you some more stories. And 3 persons standing trial for their involvement in the disturbances that happened at the NDC Youth and Women's Wing Congress at the UCC, that the University of Cape Coast campus, have been granted bail to the tune of 50,000 Ghana cedis and 2 sureties. Let's bring you that insert.
The standing trial for their involvement allegedly in the disturbances at the NDC Youth and Women Wing Congress have been granted bail to the tune of 50,000 cedis with 2 sureties each. Now, the court also, as part of the bail conditions, asked the accused persons to report themselves to the police twice in the week, that's Mondays and Fridays. There's more in this report.
The 3 are part of 16 members of the National Democratic Congress who were placed on police wanted list after the disturbances that ensued during the Youth and Women's Wing Congress. The accused have been on remand since the arrest on January 6 and 7, 2023. Their lawyers on Wednesday prayed the court to grant bail to their client. The lawyers assured the court that the accused will make themselves available for trial and cannot interfere with investigations. Though prosecution did not oppose the bail application, the judge set bail at 50,000 Ghana cedis with 2 sureties each. The sureties are supposed to be civil servants who earn no less than 2,000 Ghana cedis and must be residents within the jurisdiction of the court. The national youth organizer of the party, George Opare Ado, who was in court, described as unfair the decision of the police to prosecute the matter.
I think the police is not being fair. This was a youth conference. Certainly you would expect some youthful exuberance to be exhibited. And as it stands now, we still don't even know who the complainant in this matter is. We agree some altercations happen, but is it enough to warrant a prosecution? I believe that our lawyers will do a good job, and everybody who has been associated with this execution, one way or the other, will be left off the hook.
Prior to the decision on the bail, there was a heated argument in court on the plea of the third accused person, Dauda Muhammad Nazir. He had earlier pleaded guilty to the count of prohibition of vigilante groups and activities contrary to the Vigilante and Related Offences Act. But lawyers for the accused in court on Wednesday prayed the court to allow for the plea of guilty to be changed, as their client did not understand the count and was not provided with a certified court interpreter. Prosecution, however, opposed the application, insisting the court did not have jurisdiction to change the plea as a conviction has been entered. It was the argument of the prosecution that by virtue of entering a conviction based on the plea of the accused, any move to revert the decision can only be done by an appellate court. The judge, in delivering the ruling, however, noted that the court erred as the consequence of the plea was not adequately explained to the accused. The judge ruled that since the matter ends after sentencing and not after conviction, he was clued with the jurisdiction to make the accused change his plea. The accused then changed his plea to not guilty. One of the lawyers have been speaking to the media on Wednesday's proceedings.
The court entered not guilty to count 4, but in respect of count 3, the court entered guilty. That is what we pray to the court, that because of the error in law, by admitting an uncertified translator to translate the plea, the court erred. The judge, in his wisdom, appreciated the argument and said that since he has not even sentenced A3 in respect of that particular offense, then his hands are not completely tied. So what he will do is that he will reverse.
So certainly we'll leave the court to do its work now that it's got into its domain. And it wasn't something that was very right, because when that Congress was being held, the National Democratic Congress indicated that everything has been put in place to ensure that security will prevail in that particular Congress. But here we are, going to court right after this Congress. That is the Youth and the Women's.
I mean, Philip, we talk a lot about the youth being future leaders and how ready we are to take over managing the country and governance and all of that. But in reality, really, it looks like there's still a lot more work to be done. And as a young person myself, I was particularly mortified, really, when the news broke out that young people, it wasn't like some older people came in to cause the mayhem and all of that distraction, but it was young people themselves involved in acts of vandalism and for me, notoriety on the day. So it's important that the law is made to take its course. And for me, we understand from our reporter at the court yesterday that it's the police themselves that are going ahead with the prosecution. For now, we don't know who the complainant is in this matter, and it's the police that have taken up the issue. I think if this goes all the way down to serve as a huge lesson going forward with regards to subsequent congresses that will be undertaken by any political party in the country, and to send a message to say that, see, you can't take the law into your own hands. And if you're a young person seeking to get into politics, violence really is not the way. So for me, we want to urge the police to still go on this particular matter to ensure that a reasonable conclusion is met and people found guilty of the law are made to face the full brunt of the law. So we understand the frustrations of Pablo, that's the NDC national youth organizer in a case like this, because he's supposed to be seen to be defending his people. But honestly, I think we should make sure that the law works so that some of these things don't happen in the future.
Well, so we will leave it here for the law to work, but we will be following it keenly, bring you all the updates that happens with this particular story. The minority in Parliament is not excited about government's continuous injection of funds into abandoned projects, which they say is contributing to economic challenges in the country. Let's bring you that insight.
Now, the minority in Parliament says a continuous injection of funds into abandoned projects is contributing to the economic challenges confronting the country. The group says despite the allocation of about $20 million mobilization funds to contractors of the government's Agenda 111 project, work is yet to commence on most of the health facilities. Now, during a visit to the proposed site for the construction of a hospital for the Adeso community in the Upper West Achim district of the Eastern region, the ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament, Kwabena Mintakando, says the disbursed funds for the facilities could have helped shore up the country's forex reserve.
On Wednesday, members of the minority group in Parliament on the Health Committee paid a visit to the proposed site for the construction of a district hospital at Adeso in the Upper West Achim district of the Eastern region to ascertain the level of work done on the health facility. However, the site had only a section excavated with the excavator grounded. Containers serving as offices for workers were also cited by the team. The ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament, Kwabena Mintakando, says the about $20 million fund allocated as mobilization fund to contractors of the abandoned projects could have helped shore up the country's forex reserves.
There are contractors who have started work, they have given them money, yet documentations, which is the first thing that must be completed before a PESWA is paid to any contractor, has not been completed. And we are here justifying this? We cannot justify this. We cannot. The health of the people in the country is paramount. And all these things, to add insult to injury, this has also swallowed some part of the COVID money. It has swallowed some part of the COVID money. You understand? And so we need to show seriousness. If you treat things this way, why wouldn't the economy run down? You give more than, 10 to 20 million US dollars to individuals without any work done. How would the economy survive? At least if this money were kept at the Bank of Ghana, at least we would have said we have some kind of reserves or some money there. These monies have been pumped out. Only God knows where these monies have gone. There are people who are of the contention that these monies have been paid to contractors, and the same MPP gurus have gone back to take the money anyway. And so the contractors have no money to go to site. If indeed it is not true, they should come back to site.
The team also moved to one of the sites at Damfa in the Greater Accra region, and the situation was no different.
Approximately 1.3 million US dollars have been paid to these contractors, and so we're expecting that by now we could see at least some structures on site, but unfortunately there's absolutely no structure at all. And so we are calling on government with immediate effect to find the whereabouts of these companies. We have Micheliti & Co, we have the Hydronomist Limited, we have Osini Group Limited. Together, these companies have been given about 1.3 million US dollars. And so we should see some action at site.
Surprisingly, about $1 million fund secured as part of the COVID money were actually used on these projects. However, nothing is to prove for these funds that have been used. Reporting from Damfa in the Greater Accra region, my name is Ni Ayukwe Okain for City News.
So it's right for one to say that the minority in parliament is doing well when it comes to following up on these projects led by Kwabena Mintah Akando, the ranking on the health committee. But it looks like when you're in opposition,
you know how to say all the right things and do all the right things. I totally,
you know how to chase projects.
I totally feel you on this particular one. Mid this somewhere 14 January this year, former President John Mahama tweeted about this Agenda 111, and it came back with some sort of backlash really from the MPP because Mahama accused the Nana Akufo-Addo administration of going in the fourth year of the Agenda 111 promise, and nothing has happened. In a tweet, he said they need to be serious and stop the slogans, and we saw so many counter accusations, so many counter claims coming from the MPP on why this is not a failed project. And for me, to be fair, go back to the La General Hospital demolition, for example. Last year, the minister told us that in 2022, the minister told us that it was going to be constructed that very year. A year has passed, nothing has happened. And that particular hospital alone just clearly tells you the state of government's efforts in addressing very critical health issues in the country. Quite recently, look at the Auditor General's report on COVID-19. We are not helping ourselves as a country, and that is the truth of the matter. You can understand the political sentiments to Agenda 111. I don't want us to have a broadened conversation on government's efforts in the health ministry, just limited to what the Health Committee of Parliament are pushing with regards to the Agenda 111. And for me, Mahama claimed that it's entered its fourth year, but a simple fact check, you realize that it was a promise made in the aftermath of COVID, somewhere around 2020. And we've seen government try to make efforts recently on the president's trip visiting parts of the country. His tours, not trips, his tours.
And he even visited some of the Agenda 111
He visited
projects,
some of the Agenda 111 projects.
Yet to be completed.
Exactly, which, like the politicians like to say a lot, in various stages of completion. Yes. And some of them, it is just a land that has been cleared, but that is also a stage of completion. So we saw some of the pictures. We saw footages from some of these sites that are supposed to be areas or land on which some of these hospitals will be constructed. I really want to hope and believe in the system that this is not going to be a one-off charade where because the president is coming, we are supposed to be seen to be doing something. But hopefully in months' times, when we send our cameras there, we should be able to see some substantial structures over there. But I mean, if you look at the trajectory of this government in terms of their record in putting up some of these infrastructural hospital projects. Like I mentioned, the La General Hospital, after 3 years, you demolished it, nothing has happened on that land. People are talking, but government is sort of tone deaf on it. So we really want to hope that with the Agenda 111, it will be a different scenario and government will commit some action.
We hope so. All what I keep saying here is we don't want it to be an abandoned project, so that when another administration gets into office, it to be like, okay, fine, the previous administration commenced it and we can't even touch it. This is what we don't want, because as fans of the nation, and it's not going to augur well for us, the citizens. Let's move straight to another story. And the Roads and Highways Ministry has gone in to fix a culvert that has caved in at the Asante Mampong enclave. Let's bring you that story.
Now, the Roads and Highways Ministry has moved in to fix a culvert that has caved in at the Asante Mampong section of the main Kumasi-Yeji Highway in the Ashanti region. The section of the road has become unmotorable to road users and has led to the death of 3 persons in separate accidents. Our correspondent in the Ashanti region, Hafiz Tijani, has more.
A recent City News report highlighted the plight of motorists on the busy stretch, who spoke about the dangers of using the road and called for urgent interventions. The Roads and Highways Minister, Kwesi Amwakwata, visited the stretch.
We have made a strong promise on behalf of government, on behalf of the president, to fix that bus culvert, within the shortest possible time, in fact, as quickly as practicable, so that the road from Yeji through Mampong to Kumasi will be linked up once more.
In 2022, there was uproar and protest by inhabitants, including traditional leaders in the Kwabiri East municipality, over bad roads in the area. A response by President Akufo-Addo when he was asked about the nature of roads at Kwabiri East in a radio interview angered the people there. Although work has started to give a facelift to roads in the Kwabiri East, the Member of Parliament and chiefs in the area want the government to extend the construction to other communities.
We are also hoping that we'll take Minister to some of the areas, most especially through the Bosore, Wade, Jumakasi, Abuasu Road, for him to also see the nature of the road and then put some heat on the contractors who are coming, so that work can be done as fast as possible. So once again, we are very grateful to the president as well for also adding his voice and then making sure that all our problems are solved, especially when it comes to roads.
The Roads and Highways Minister and the Ashanti Regional Minister have vehemently denied assertions that the road works in Kwabiri East are being funded by an individual.
Somebody is screaming that he is constructing the road. The Kenya-Say Fawadi Road is being constructed by the ministry. It's not any private person that is constructing the road. The contractor is Hafus Limited and is under the Department of Feeder Roads. So we don't want anybody to lay claim that that person is constructing the road.
Every road contract going on in Kwabiri East here, every road contract, and I want to emphasize that, is being awarded by government.
Work is ongoing on the rehabilitation and expansion of the Lake Road and is expected to be completed this year. Authorities are hopeful the completion of the project will impact positively on tourism in the Busumtwe district.
See, the government is interested through the Ministry of Roads and Highways in this particular project.
So the Minister of Roads and Highways, Kwesi Amwakwata, has stated that this year is action year of roads. And I think he started on the right note.
I mean, every society really love a government that is very responsive to their needs and quick. as such. So it was great seeing that the Ministry of Roads and Highway moved in to fix the culvert on the Asante Mampon section of the Kumasi Yeji Road. But I also want to appeal at my North Kanishi place. The road, Charlie, I'm driving, are you falling into
the deplorable roads everywhere? There are roads that are in bad shape. But it looks like government is trying to prioritize the roads that they will say are in critical conditions, that they play key roles. For instance, you get that of the Ofanko in Sawam Road is playing key role because a lot of traders move through these regions, the eastern region, and also come to the Greater Accra region, Ashanti region, and use that particular stretch. When you see that of the Ashaman to also the Atimpoku Road, there's also another major road. You come to the La Beach Road is also another.
And these are all roads governments
is fixing, and it looks like the funds that one will say that are limited when it comes to these things. Mind you, contractors are also asking for their share of the money. So I can say that since government has declared this year action year of roads, well, they should go according to.
We had a year of roads, so I mean, on any day, I'm going to just leave you to talk about roads issue. But
exactly.
Like
all what we can say is government should
commitment.
Government should do its best when it comes to the roads, and I think they are doing a very good job. This is still CNR Extra on City TV, still to come. Stakeholders in the education sector entreat government to fulfill its budget allocation to the education sector to improve quality. And stay with us, we'll be back with this story.
The sisters are back with more chic and spice than ever. Join the League of Exceptional Sisters as they come to the rescue of relationships with the all-new season of Sister Sister. Be it gut-wrenching personal secrets, jaw-dropping partner shenanigans, or the cringe-worthy deeds of family and friends, our sisters will be here to help you weave through the simplest and most complicated relationship issues. Sister Sister airs every Thursday at 7 p.m. on 97.3 City FM and every Friday at 9 p.m. on City TV. Sister Sister is sponsored by Kel Kids Toothpaste, the Ghana AIDS Commission, and Onga.
Many thanks for staying with us here on CNR Extra. And before we go, our very last story, which has to do with stakeholders in the education sector, asking government to fulfill its budget allocation to the education sector to improve the quality. I think it's a decision that has to be taken by government because this week we brought you a story from the Islamic school that this week or last week, and City FM, City TV has taken it upon itself to ensure that quality infrastructure is given to the students out there. I think that government must play its role when it comes to that, because this week as well, the issue of shortage of food items in the various schools has also been very topical when it comes to issues on the business space.
And Philip, and that's why for some of us, when we read that government was interested in procuring tablets for every child in school, we saw it as a misplaced priority. Because if you go back to some of these schools and you look at the conditions, really, some of these peoples have to go through just to get some education. For me, it's unfortunate, and it's torture, really, if you want to be very honest with ourselves. So government coming up with this whole tablet thing was, for me, very wishful thinking. And for me, I would rather that some of these resources are used to provide life jackets for people who have to cross rivers to get to a classroom, or make sure that they construct school buildings in proper shapes for some of these students. And for me, it won't be enough. We can say as media people as much as we want to say, but someone needs to take the responsibility. Someone needs to take the action, and it falls directly on government, the government of the day. And you need people or stakeholders within the sector, Ghana National Association of Teachers, CHAS, even National Union of Ghana Students, NUCS, all of these people coming together to make sure that some of these demands are met. Other than that, we are not going to build a future.
Quality education is very important, and that is what everybody needs in this country when it comes to educating his or her ward, and that has been made available by the government that has been voted in power. My name is Philip Nilate. I did this with Jude Mensah Duncan. This is how we end CNR Extra today. Keep watching City TV, and we see you same time tomorrow.